Okay, I think we're all ready. Good morning.
Good morning.
As many of you noticed, some of our commissioners are missing today. The president and the vice president are not here. So I believe I will be acting as the officer in charge.
Yes, ma'am, we just have to call the vote first.
Okay, very good.
So I can go ahead and
We'll do the roll call.
President Hayes, Vice President Deluge, Commissioner Babcock,
Present.
Commissioner Garfield,
Present.
Commissioner Woods Gray,
Here.
Fire Chief Villanueva,
Acting Fire Chief Joseph Everett, here.
thank you, Deputy City Attorney Linda Nguyen. Here. And we do have quorum, and before we proceed, I will, for the sake of Woods Gray, if we're gonna do the acting chair pro tem, I think it's called, we will need to call it first and a second. So, do I have first,
First.
second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. And we want to first welcome our new commissioner.
Thank you.
We're so happy to see her. I know her for her work in the past in many different capacities in the community, but I remember from when she started on the community college board, because that was something that was close to a place where I was working, and we all worked together. And we welcome you and look forward to working with you and using all that experience that you have in city government and local government and everywhere else to help to further the agenda and the goals of the fire department. Thanks for accepting the challenge.
I'm excited about it.
Commissioner, why don't we do the flag salute?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we should.
Will you please join me in the flag salute? Please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for 1 minute.
Moment of silence.
Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of past, present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department who devote their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you. Be seated.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, very good. The first item on the agenda is commission comments. Commissioners, do you have any comments? This is the one time that you get to speak during the meeting freely. I mean, otherwise it's on agenda items. Okay, so we've already welcomed our new commissioner. Next item is public comment. Ms. Hill, do we have public comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have several. I will call your name, you can just come to the podium and state the items you'd like to speak on. First speaker, Dilbert Gordon.
All.
All right, you will have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Madam President, fire commissioners, and everyone in attendance. My name is Delbert Gordon. I'm 42 years old, a husband and father of 5. Becoming a firefighter with Los Angeles Fire Department was one of the greatest moments of my life, allowing me to serve the community I grew up in and be a part of something greater than myself. However, during my probationary period, I was subjected to harassment, bullying, retaliation, discrimination, falsified records, defamation, and professional misconduct that created a hostile and unsafe work environment. The treatment I endured caused serious emotional, mental, and physical harm, including 2 incidences of rhabdomyolysis. Even though I took policy-approved time off for injury on duty, sickness, and to take care of my sick wife, it was held against me and used as pretext for retaliation. 2 months before completion of probation, I was wrongfully terminated. My termination packet claimed I had deficiencies in communication, conduct, and performance, but these allegations ignore facts, progress, and work performed. They did not reflect my dedication, character, or ability to serve. This was not a case of poor performance without progress. It was the result of unlawful discrimination, retaliation, and misconduct justified under the so-called LAFD culture. To put this in perspective, my company and battalion commanders wrote in my final 10-shift evaluation that I had shown noticeable progress, put significant effort into training and physical strength, developed a solid understanding of my role, communicated effectively, had a good attitude, and applied critical thinking and firefighter concepts in drills and emergencies. And I quote, Gordon's last 10 shifts reflect consistent improvement with prior concerns corrected and not repeated. He is meeting department standards. At the time of my termination, 88% of my overall evaluations were rated satisfactory, well within department standards. Despite this, my record was intentionally disregarded and altered, and a false negative narrative was created in my termination packet in retaliation to justify my dismissal. These actions were not isolated incidences, but reflect a broader ongoing pattern and practice within the Los Angeles Fire Department workplace culture. I respectfully demand a full and impartial investigation into the harassment, discrimination, retaliation, falsified records, and wrongful termination I endured. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Micah Nguyen. Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All items.
You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Madam President, all fire commissioners, and everybody in attendance. For a number of years, I've scratched and fought to get hired with the LAFD. From background checks to the academy to probation, countless hours of drilling, studying to the best of my ability to be able to perform for the city of Los Angeles. I joined the department to serve the community. I thought that I would be met with real mentorship and teachers to help me learn the job and welcome me into the station. I was wrong. Instead, I was met with racism, lack of teaching, ostracism, being spoken down to, lied upon, and treated unfairly on a regular basis. As I started my probationary year, I thought when I walked into the place, I was going to be able to learn from veterans with decades of experience. But instead of mentorship, I was faced with constant hazing and ridicule. When I asked questions, the senior guys would disappear, hide in lounges, or make excuses. If I couldn't find them to prepare for drills, I was accused of lying or trying to make them look bad. There was no real training, just indifference. When I transferred to my next station, I paid the price for everything I wasn't taught at my first station. The message was simple. You don't know enough, so we're going to run you into the ground. Every shift, I was doing constant go drills, sometimes even a dozen or more in one night, sometimes leading to constant exhaustion from constant training. It wasn't not training at all. It was torment. And even after I improved, even when my drills were satisfactory, the paperwork never reflected it. Captains marked me down as unsatisfactory with no explanation, building a record that said I was failing, when in reality I was surviving. I'll admit I came into this job with a learning curve, but I showed up willing to work, willing to learn, and willing to do my absolute best. What I needed was guidance and mentorship, and instead what I got was hazing and sabotage. This experience taught me something, that hazing isn't tradition. Hazing isn't training. Hazing is neglect dressed up as toughness, and it sets people up to fail. It robs rookies of their confidence and creates hostile firehouses and puts the public at risk. We can do better, and we must do better. A firehouse should be a place where new firefighters are built up, not torn down, where veterans pass on wisdom, not resentment, where fairness, respect, and real mentorship replace hazing and ridicule. Because if we're truly a family, then we need to act like one. In a family, you don't haze your own. You teach them, you prepare them, and you stand beside them. I have the mental, physical, and emotional capacity to do the job at a high level. I would like to be reinstated into the department and to be able to give the hard work and dedication that I'm known for to the service to citizens of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Daniel Williams. Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All.
Yeah.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Fire Commission, Fire Chief Villanueva, and all in attendance. My name is Daniel Williams, and I was wrongfully terminated 8 months into my probation as a firefighter with the Los Angeles City Fire Department. I was born and raised right here in the city of Los Angeles. I'm a father of 3, and every day I strive to be the best example for them. Before being hired by the fire department, I played professional basketball in Europe for a number of years and later worked as a coach, teacher, and a mentor. I never shied away from hard work, always believed in discipline, teamwork, and lifting up others. Receiving my badge at the academy was one of the proudest moments of my life, but once I entered probation, everything changed. What I didn't expect was to be constantly told no by my captain to walk buildings for real-world training because he wanted to save his crew's energy. Neither did I expect the conduct I saw toward members of the public by a fellow crew member. On one call, a crew member sprayed a homeless man, his food, and his fire with a fire extinguisher while others watched and laughed. Too often, there was a lack of consistent support and guidance. I felt like I was being evaluated without being properly coached. I wanted to serve my community with honor. I came in ready to learn, to be challenged, and to grow. I realized that the focus was about pointing out my shortcomings. I wasn't met with the mentorship. I was met with indifferences, in some cases, hostility. On my termination paper, it was written that I lacked strength and stability. But the truth is, I passed the department's optional wellness fitness aerobic test. The termination report built against me as it was riddled with inaccuracies, wrong files, and missed documents. As a probationary firefighter, I understand there are mistakes were part of a learning process. This is the time to ask questions, to get guidance, and to grow through experiences. I took that serious. What concerns me is that my mistakes were treated differently, used not as teaching but as ammunition against me. My time in probation was marked by a lack of training, support, intentional efforts to make me fail, disrespectful comments, and unprofessional, abusive conduct toward me and the members of the public. This created a hostile environment and prevented me from receiving a fair training during my probation. I'm here today to ask for reinstatement, an impartial investigation so that no other firefighter has to endure what happened to me. This city deserves better, and so do the people who dedicate their lives to serve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me if I say this wrong. Raquel Wynn? Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All.
You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, fire commissioners and everyone in attendance.
Morning.
It still gets to me the shock that my son Micah's not a firefighter, because let's face it, it takes a long time to go through the hiring process to be a firefighter, and time and effort and energy in that academy. We all went through the academy with him, though we didn't actually set foot on the premises until his graduation. But graduation was so, thank you. Graduation was very special. He was so happy. He had pride, and we all had pride and happy for him, because Micah has always been a person that that wanted to help people, even from a little guy. And so this was very special to him. And the probationary period began, and he had it took effort and energy and hard work in the firehouse. He was going on calls and countless hours of studying challenging training bulletins in order to do well at the drills that were given every shift. We always encouraged him. However, sorry to say, he was not always encouraged at the firehouses, as Mike has already testified. It was stress. It even took away his smile. Micah does well. He takes care of business. He puts his best foot forward, whether it's on putting out fires or medical calls. He's just a hardworking person, and he has a good work ethic. And all of a sudden, no job? I started to think, well, wait a minute, is a man that's hardworking and good, willing to help and does his best, how is it that he doesn't have his job anymore? Is that protocol? I don't know how to substantiate that. It's very unfair and it's unjust. So I just ask that you please reinstate this firefighter, this young man that could give so much to our city. Thank you very much. Reinstate him, and also please provide back pay. Provide back pay, because he's lost from these months. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Donna Richardson. morning. If you could state the items you'd like to speak on.
All.
You will have 3 minutes.
Good morning,
Morning.
members of the Fire Commission, and all in attendance. And I begin by saying this is definitely a labor of love for me because I am not an elevator or underground parking person. So I am here in support of my nephew, Daniel Williams. Daniel is a kind and caring individual. He's a devoted father of 3, a college graduate, and a productive member of his community. I was proud to attend the graduation last year and see all of the firefighters as they prepared for a profession with service as one of its foundational components. During his probation, I encouraged Daniel to focus on preparation and execution of tasks, even when he expressed frustration over some encounters. I was saddened to hear of his dismissal, especially since it occurred on the day of his return from medical leave. I later learned that others had also been dismissed, which seems unfortunate since there seems to be a need for dedicated firefighters in the city of Los Angeles. As a retired teacher, student teacher supervisor, career advisor, and work experience coordinator, I am aware of the importance and value of the period of probation. I understand that standards need to be met. Probation is an opportunity for positive mentoring, skill building, and encouragement, along with regular assessment and appropriate dialogue. It is also a window of time for all involved to build strategies for the improved delivery of instruction, which leads to effective outcomes. Preparation saves lives in all places and spaces. I hope there is an opportunity for Daniel to receive answers to his concerns, and I would hope that there is an opportunity for reevaluation, reconsideration for those seeking a path to successful completion of probation and commitment to the Fire Academy. And as a sidebar, I'd like to say, at Dorsey High School, I was a liaison teacher for the Fire Academy, which was a good program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Pastor William Smart.
See where I'm smart here? Oh. Yes.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
General comment,
You will have 1 minute.
okay, and reinstatement of some officers.
So general public comment
Yes,
is 1 minute.
all items, all items. I had to get the most. Good morning,
Good
members
morning.
of this Fire Commission. I'm Pastor William D. Smart Jr., President and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of Southern California, which is, if you didn't know, it's the organization that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. started right here in this city. We fight for justice and we fight against inequality. We fight for equality for everybody. And one of the things that we're concerned about is recently, and I was just here last month, recently it has been brought to my attention that there have been 4 African-American firefighters that have been fired or let go of, or whatever the process is. And I'm just concerned because we want firefighters who are competent. We want firefighters who are well-trained. We want firefighters who you can call up and know that they're coming in with their professionalism. They'll be able to put out the emergency that's going on. But there's something wrong in the process where it's all of a sudden the last 3 to 4 that have been let go have been African Americans. It's disproportionately says something to us in the civil rights community when you have problems like that, situations. We know that there's some systemic problems in the tradition of this fire department. We're looking right now, waiting for some information about that because our investigation continues. Because in April, we had a public summit, and when we called on the Centurions and others to come forward, and they came forward, and we've been fighting to address these inequalities in this department. But it's just something wrong when it's African Americans always the ones. Something's wrong in the training. Something's wrong that there's a history in this department that this tradition is not being met, it's not being fixed. The good old boy system, you know, years ago, I was working with the women in this department, and it's time to fix this. It's time to get it straight. As an interim chief, and I know you're applying for the whole job, but anybody else, it's time for a change. And we as a community organization is going to stay on your case until you get it right, Fire Commission. You got to get this right. Lives are at stake, livelihoods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Robert Hawkins. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you like to speak on?
All items.
3 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, fire commissioners, all commissioners, interim fire chief Ronnie Villanueva, acting chief Everett, everyone else in attendance. My name is Robert Hawkins. I'm the president of the Los Angeles City Stentorians, an association of African Americans in the fire service. Before I begin, I would like to welcome our newest fire commissioner, Mrs. Beth Garfield, to the Fire Commission, and welcome to the Los Angeles Fire Department. Commissioner Garfield, we welcome you to the Fire Department. The Stentorians look forward to working with you as we bring the Fire Department and strengthen this department to make it better. As we heard this morning, multiple citizens have raised concern about fairness, equity, and retention within the fire department. This is not new. This is now the third Fire Commission meeting where we have heard from firefighters, department staff, and family members all raising the same alarm. By now, I hope you have all heard us clearly. We have exhausted every avenue within department leadership. We have sat down and we have asked for solutions time and time again. Our leadership has failed us. These failures come at human cost. Probationary firefighters who have been discarded without support, families devastated, and taxpayer dollars wasted. Training people only to see them pushed out unfairly. By now, I trust this commission has asked leadership for a plan. By now, I hope they have presented you with more than excuses. We have asked for reports, we have asked for policy change, and today we are asking for reform. The department needs leadership that can confront discrimination, address systemic failures, and provide support so that every firefighter has a chance to succeed. This is more than leadership titles. This is about fairness, this is about accountability, and this is about the future of public safety in Los Angeles.
30 seconds.
I am asking that every past firefighter that came up today be looked into. I am asking for a plan so that all firefighters on probation don't have to endure what these firefighters are talking about. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Rich Ramirez.
General public comment and all items, please. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Rich Ramirez. I'm second vice president of Local 112 and also a firefighter paramedic for the city of Los Angeles. I'd like to start off by welcoming Beth Garfield. UFLAC was proud to endorse your appointment, and we know that you will be great for the men and women of this department. I would like to speak on a few other things. This fall, as the LAFD prepares to submit a budget proposal for the fiscal year of 2026 and 2027, Interim Fire Chief Villanueva, which is not present, our fire commissioners and UFLAC must stand united in pushing for the return of our EIT positions and opposing any other budget cuts proposed. Protecting lives and property in LA requires funding, not less, and I really hope that our budget request in November includes not just our EITs, but all of our priorities that we need in the field. As a reminder, the LAFD is half the size it should be. Our elected officials always find a way to cut us. Per the Standard of Cover report, it says we need 62 new fire stations, 4,000 new firefighters, dozens of new dispatchers, 7 battalions, and EMS substations. That's why UFLAC is moving forward with the ballot measure for the 2026 and finally and permanently fixing our budget and staffing problems. Another ongoing concern is our payroll problems. Last Friday, I attended the City Council Personnel Committee meeting where they provided an update on replacement of the updated NSS with a new integrated system. Thankfully, new software vendors are being vetted, but we are still months away from resolving these issues. Just as a reminder, our members are owed thousands and thousands of back pay. Hope you're ready for this, Ms. Garfield. UFLEC has been fighting this fight on the payroll issues, so once again, I'm asking the department and this commission to also stay on this topic. It is a critical issue. We need a long-term fix, and our members need to be paid correctly. Finally, as discussed previously in Fire Commission, rescue ambulance wait times are not being addressed, and this problem is only getting worse. Commissioner DeLukic had requested a report on this matter time and time again. When can we expect to see that report? We need real data to understand the scope of this problem and find an effective solution that will reduce the wait times. We have AB 40, we have APOT through DHS. As you guys know, there are no hospitals being built at all. We can't do this anymore with our rescue ambulances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, and please forgive me, Doug Coates? Good morning, what items would you
Morning.
like to speak on?
All items. All right, good morning. My name is Doug Coates, and I'm proud to be UFLAC's first vice president, and I'm also an LAFD engineer at Fire Station 95 in Westchester. I'm here today to say that when the city cut our 42 EITs a few months ago, they put firefighters and the general public at risk. As most of you know, firefighters rely on EITs during major incidents. They serve as a critical lifeline of communication and coordination during big emergencies, and they make sure that our firefighters not only get in, but also get out. I know that the budget process for the next fiscal year has already started. I also understand the mayor is supposed to rename a permanent fire chief the next week. So the message is simple and is directed at our next fire chief, which possibly could be in this room. We need you to fight to restore these positions. Because of what happened with these cuts, that was not okay. Just a matter of time until someone, either a member of the public or, God forbid, one of our firefighters, pays the ultimate sacrifice because we lost the EITs. Long term, as you know, UFLAC is pursuing the ballot measure of 2026, which Rich Mears talked about, to properly fund this fire department. But we can't wait another year to address this problem. And to be honest, we really can't wait another day. Just remember that EITs are firefighters, and firefighters are the backbone of LAFD. And really, they really are the most important source of the LAFD. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Michael Slider. Good morning. What item would you like to speak on?
All of them.
You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commission.
Good morning.
I'm a 40-year resident of the city of Los Angeles. I'm a retired city employee. I am sick and tired of this fire department, and we're still talking about bias, misogyny, and these things are still going on to the fire department. I will never forget, this is the same fire department where a black man was fed dog food. I will not forget that. You should not forget that. These things have to change. This frat house mentality that's going on in my fire stations. These are my fire stations. I pay taxes here. I live here. We have got to fix this. We cannot sit around and watch. They're asking for more money, and yet we're paying out millions and millions and millions in frivolous lawsuits. This has got to stop. I don't know what we're going to do about this, what you're going to do about this, but we have to address this issue. I'm also concerned about one of these little tricks that they do when they fire people. They come in and they fire people, and then they ask them if they want to resign. If they're going to fire them, fire them. Don't ask them to resign, because they know that limits their rights when they sign the piece of paper. Why are they doing that? There's no need. If you're going to fire a guy, fire him, and don't tell him to resign, and then, well, maybe he'll get his job back. And that's complete BS. That practice needs to stop. If they're going to fire them, and that's the end of the conversation. Second of all, I would like for you to have a meeting in the Valley someday. We should have a meeting in the evening. This is a burden for people to come down who work and do things every day, to come down here at 9 o'clock in the morning every single time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Karen Slider. Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All.
You have 3 minutes.
Hello, Honorable
Good morning.
Board. My name is Karen Slider, and I am a retired Los Angeles City paramedic firefighter. I was a firefighter paramedic for 25 years before I retired. I came on in the 80s when the Board of Fire Commissioners was feared by LAFD. Eva Whitelock would come out and check on people that had problems and report back to the board and let them know what was going on. I don't know if you guys have that kind of resource, but it's much needed. I know what racism feels like in LAFD. I'm happy to say there's some wonderful men in this audience right here in leadership positions that helped me along the way. But coming on this job was not easy. I was not wanted, and I was harassed on a daily basis, especially in the drill tower. Now, that's the past. I didn't sue the department because I thought we would do things better. I reported to the commissioners and told them everything that I went through, thinking things would get better. I wrote a book to help other firefighters, thinking things would get better. I have a podcast. I talk to firefighters all over the world, asking them how they got the job, what's required, and what they find fulfilling in it. And every one of them love it, regardless of how hard it was to get. These gentlemen here in this audience have paid to go to EMT school. They paid to take a written test. They paid to take a physical agility test. They went to fire academies that taught them the fundamentals of fighting fires. It's the city of LAFD's responsibility to teach them how to use those skills, their standard operating procedures. You can't call someone stupid for not knowing how to do something when you've never taught them how to do it. Now, you're listening to these trumped up charges and these evaluations from these firefighters, and you don't even know what you're reading. I've read their reports. I see the flaws in the lies because I know how to lift a ladder. I know who's responsible for placing the ladder. Okay? You guys need an expert. You need to make sure that you, as lions, they fear you, that you have teeth. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Last speaker card, Freddie Escobar. Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, and congratulations, Commissioner Garfield, and welcome to the Fire Commission. Good morning, everyone in attendance. Freddie Escobar, 36-year veteran of the LAFD and elected president of UFLAC. 9 months ago today, we had the biggest fire loss in Los Angeles City and LA County, known as the Pacific Palisades and Altadena fires. For 4 months after the fires, LAFD and UFLAC were all over the media, letting the residents of Los Angeles and the nation know that our fire department, our LAFD, was understaffed and underfunded. We need to let the residents know that their LAFD is still underfunded and understaffed. With that said, I was recently asked, and I quote, if the LAFD has taken any steps to be more prepared for a wildland fire scenario like the Pacific Palisades. To my knowledge, it has not. Outside of pre-deploying on high hazard days, which should be an automatic decision, not a financial decision, today the LAFD has less authorized positions in the field, and with the elimination of our EITs, we are simply not prepared. We need more resources and have a very robust standard of cover report that supports the need to make our department double its size. It also states a lot of the obvious. We need more rescue ambulances, FRVs, fire engines, fire trucks, more of everything, period. Our department has enough personnel for a department serving a city of Los Angeles of 1960, but not for 2025. Are we ready for the World Cup, the Olympics? All of us that wear a badge know that answer. The other day, we had a council member visit a station I was working at. She told me to my face, in front of the members on duty that day, that we will have another difficult budget and tough decisions will be made, Freddie. I want to be very clear, as I was with the council member. While the city is spending $300 million from the general fund on homelessness, the LAFD shouldn't be touched, period. That is not a sustainable trade-off, and it is a trade-off that the residents of Los Angeles do not support and did not ask for. This trade-off is sowing the seeds of our own destruction, the destruction of this department and the destruction of the city as a whole. Why does it take any courage at all to speak the truth? Please pass this on to Chief V. The members in the field are asking him to lead us. His silence speaks volumes. He talks about having 41 years on the LAFD. I had the opportunity to work with him. I drove him. Now we're asking him to lead us and be vocal about an understaffed, underfunded fire department that cannot sustain what we are doing every single day. We're asking Chief V. I'm telling Chief V, this is strictly business. This is nothing personal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, there are no more speakers.
No more speakers? Okay. Thank you to everyone who provided public comment. The next item on our agenda is the report of the fire chief. Chief Everett, are you doing that?
On September 17th, they had a major events symposium. The fire chief was there answering questions regarding the Olympics, World Cup, and leadership during large crises. On September 18th through September 20th, the fire chief attended the IAFF Memorial in Colorado. There's 311 names on the wall. 3 of those are from the LAFD. On September 25th, the LAPD Above and Beyond Award ceremonies, that's the equivalent of their Medal of Valor awards. The fire chief attended that to support our brothers and sisters at the LAPD. On September 27th, we had the Salute to Firefighters Festival. That's put on by the Relief Association, very similar to what we used to have here in downtown called Hope for Firefighters. Fire chief attended the fun event. There was also a car show. October 4th, recently, California Fire Foundation Memorial in Sacramento. There's 30 names on the wall. There was 2 from the LAFD. The fire chief attended that event. represented the fire department. That concludes Chief's activities.
Okay, 3B. Are there any oral reports on significant incidents? Who's doing it? Oh, Chief Fields, good morning.
Good morning, Madam Commissioner. I'd like to echo the department's welcome of our newest commissioner, Ms. Garfield. It's good to see a new face, and we're all looking forward to collaborating with you in the future. We're available to you department-wide to get you up to speed on this large department, so you best know how to assist us and collaborate with us in the future. Once again, I'd like to say good morning to the entire Board of Fire Commissioners. Commissioner Woods Gray as acting president this morning, fellow commissioners, Chief Everett, Madam City Attorney. Good morning, Ms. Hill. My name is Richard Fields, and I serve as the Deputy Chief in Command of Operations Central Bureau. I'm actually going to report on several fires or significant incidents that we have had in the last couple of weeks. I'll begin with September 16th. Fire resources from Battalions 1 and Battalion 11 responded to a 13-story pre-33, or that was built before 1933. So we make that designation because it alerts us of specific building and construction challenges that we're going to face when fighting a fire in a building that was constructed in that time frame. This building was converted into a residential high-rise, occupied, and has 297 single-room occupancies, and it's called the Roslyn Hotel. Now, what's significant about this is we've had 2 fires in that building in a very short period of time. At this time, we're working with the council office to collaboratively come up with greater security measures, fire protection measures, so that we can limit the number of fires that happen in that building. In this particular instance, first arriving companies got there in just about 6.5 minutes, encountering a moderate amount of smoke and fire on the 7th floor. As fire companies ascended the interior stairwell to locate, identify, and confine that fire, they were confronted with a significant amount of excessive storage, which having to get past that extended the amount of time that it took for them to get first extinguishment on the fire. In addition, in that unit, they found a resident who was in it who could not get out likely because of that excessive storage. Our span of control to effectively manage that incident is placed solely on the shoulders of our first arriving battalion chief. On this was Chief Gross, working in Battalion 1. Working without an EIT, his span of control and his ability to manage those companies is significantly reduced. Now, while this particular circumstance does not necessarily slow the fire companies down, the ability to manage those resources, account for those resources, particularly in a large building, 13 stories, plays a part in effectively managing and keeping everyone safe. As firefighters ascended upon the one unit, in about 20 minutes, they were able to extinguish the fire. We had an extensive operation because initially the fire was controlled by sprinklers. So that created a salvage and overhaul operation on several floors below the fire. Unfortunately, the resident that was in that building succumbed to their injuries despite the best efforts of our firefighters on scene. I'll move on to another incident that happened nearby. This actually took place just before 6 p.m. on October the 4th. Firefighters from, again, Battalion 1 and 11, 2 of the busiest battalions in the entire city, responded to 743 North Lafayette Park Place, and this is in Fire Station 20's first alarm district in Council District 13. Task Force 20 arrived on scene, and Task Force concept is a truck and an engine company working together, followed shortly behind by Rescue 20, and I'll tell you why that's significant. They encountered a 2,300 square foot craftsman-style home that was built just after the 1900. They encountered this particular large craftsman, although it was designed to be a single-family dwelling, had now been converted into a duplex. They had light smoke showing, and initial conditions suggested that the fire was confined to the attic. The task force commander took initial command of the fire, identified the incident. Truck 20 went to the roof to begin ventilation operations, while Engine 20 took first attack on the fire to again locate and the seat of the fire for extinguishment. While conducting that survey and the first initial attacks on the fire, members of Rescue 20 were contacted by one of the occupants who was in the building, communicating that there was still a person inside. Without hesitation, these members entered the well-involved structure at this time under conditions that were rapidly deteriorating, conducted a rapid and thorough search, and located a 58-year-old male who was unconscious and unresponsive in the fire room of origin. Assisted by our EMS battalion captain at the time, efforts and coordination was put together very quickly with Rescue 20, assisted by an engine company to provide initial care for that victim, get them transported to the hospital, and to try to save their life. Subsequently, our arson section was called out to further the investigation. Additional resources were added. And on the backside of that, unfortunately, as the patient arrived at the hospital, they were pronounced dead because of succumbing to their injuries. What we are doing as a result of that is establishing a smoke detector canvassing, which we do quite often subsequent to fires that cause significant injury or death in a single-family dwelling or apartment building. We'll be working with the Council District, CD 13's office, the Central Bureau office in collaboration with MySafe LA in coordinating a neighborhood detector canvassing, which we will identify missing smoke detectors and where we can install them at the permission of the residents. The fire is still under investigation with the arson section, and that's the end of that report. Now I'm going to end this report on the third incident, which actually happened a couple of days before on October 1st, but has a slightly better ending. So just before midnight on that day, October the 1st, fire department resources, including several fire companies and ambulances commanded by Battalion 1, 11, and 13, were dispatched to a report of a structure fire at 2624 South Maple Avenue in Los Angeles, and that's in Council District 9. As crews responded, our Metro Fire Communications communicated to those responding resources that there might be people trapped inside. Upon arrival, firefighters encountered a two-story, 8-unit apartment building that was constructed in 1921. And again, we highlight the time that building was built to help us with understanding building construction or challenges that we may face when fighting these fires. There was heavy smoke showing from the first floor window and the front. At the entrance, a woman emerged from that smoke-filled hallway, disoriented but alive. The truck captain immediately provided a detailed size-up or an assessment of the problem that they were facing to incoming companies and the subsequent incident commander. They added additional resources, which included 2 more paramedic ambulances, and began organizing the arriving companies for a coordinated interior and exterior management of this incident. Within minutes, the conditions deteriorated rapidly. Smoke turned to open flame, spread to the second floor windows and eaves, engulfing 2 apartment units. Firefighters advanced hose lines through the smoke-filled first floor hallway where flames extended from the unit initially involved into the enclosed corridor, and aggressive suppression efforts and search for the occupants ensued. Another company attempted to access the rear stairwell to the storage, but encountered significant storage or excessive storage conditions inside. Redirecting those hose lines to a more accessible location, they were alerted that there were two additional people trapped on the second floor. Firefighters could see from below that these two occupants were behind a security door, smoke billowing behind them. The inside member, that 10th member on our task force, or the 6th member on our truck, without that person being there, this story would have a different ending. Please take note of that. The inside member quickly used the rotary saw as they're trained to do, a saw to cut metal, cut through the locked security gate, allowing the trapped occupants to escape. Moments later, reports confirmed that another person was trapped upstairs. Ladders were raised. Firefighters rescued the additional occupant from the second floor. The woman who had escaped earlier attempted to re-enter the building and sustained burns while trying to do that. A medical group was established because we had multiple patients that needed attention. And during the height of the operation, the incident commander, Battalion Chief Kenneth Cook, working without an EIT, also had an emergency activation from one of our firefighters. The excessive amount of time that it took to rectify that, not having a partner, was a significant detractor from the attention needing to be paid to the rescue of these occupants. Albeit this firefighter emergency was abated and no injuries to our firefighters at the time, suppression efforts continued. The crews continued to ventilate, suppress, and make interior searches to provide rapid intervention. The incident commander continued to manage the scene effectively. The outcome of this, 4 people were successfully rescued from 2 apartments. And today, although we don't know their exact medical condition, are alive to share that. We recognize and highlight the valiant efforts of our firefighters day in and day out. These 3 incidents in this 2-week span were just one of 17 actual fires that have happened in Operation Central Bureau. Our people, day in and day out, are constantly faced with these challenges, with less, making it more difficult and more unsafe day in and day out. But we overcome, we adapt, and we improvise. Highlighting these incidents just highlights the professionalism, the bravery, and the commitment of the members of the LAFD, your LAFD. Thank you for your attention. I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much for the report. Commissioners, you have any questions for you?
We had some talk previously about these EIT positions, and we hear about these significant incidents that are happening. What would be the correlation? And I know this is maybe not one for you to answer and maybe one to bring up separately, but just so we can get a better understanding of how there could be a lack or a gap in when these significant incidences are happening. Where would an EIT come in and play a role there, if any?
Well, I'll use the firefighter emergency as an example. When a firefighter emergency happens, best case scenario, that firefighter that's missing, trapped, or down is able to activate their emergency trigger on their radio.
Okay.
If they cannot, typically people who are in close proximity to them do the same. They announce that mayday on the radio.
Okay.
I have not only been a rescuer for a firefighter who was trapped inside and almost lost his life in 2007, so I know what that feels like. I was also in EIT, involved in several firefighter rescues. I know what that is like. I know at the command post, the chaos that happens. So I just wanted to give you that context. At the time a firefighter emergency happens, it is the worst day for a battalion chief and anyone surrounding that. The responsibility is still to manage the fire, still to manage the incident so that it doesn't grow or expand or get beyond its initial box of origin. But the life is now the priority. That fire still has to be managed, but in that scenario, when that firefighter hears a voice to tell them we're coming to get you, extends that person's life. We have a process that tells them to check their air, stay, try to make noise, turn on lights, all intended to help them increase their survivability. while the fire is being managed. Additional resources are being asked, additional resources are being placed. That used to happen automatically with the EIT. Metro, attach additional resources, attach arson or other tactical things that need to be communicated. The battalion chief is able to focus on those because he had help. That EIT knew exactly what to do because they practiced it as a team. Now that battalion chief is by themselves, and not that they're not as competent, but if I tie one arm behind my back, I am 50% less effective. That's just a fact. Our span of control by science says that we are best 3 to 7. We can manage 3 to 7 things. Science also says that we can manage effectively 3 sets of communication at one time. The multiple communications that are happening on a fire, and you throw in a firefighter emergency, I cannot, on my best day, effectively manage that. So the possibility of losing that communication, missing that communication, increases exponentially because I'm 50% less effective at the command post. So if my span of control is only is 3 to 7, but 5 is optimal, then I have to now, being responsible, not deploy as many resources immediately. What that means, the possibility that that fire continues to propagate because I cannot manage putting more resources until I get help, the help that I used to have with the EIT. The staging of resources, the effective management of deploying those resources to critical areas of the fire, all helped and assisted by the EIT. And our primary responsibility through any fire is firefighter accountability. The EIT was solely responsible for where did I place Rescue 20, who now is inside the building, affecting a rescue, trying to save a life. Where are they? The EIT helps to manage that. Without that help, I'm trying to do those things. It is, and that's just an example on the emergency side. On the administrative side,
It's a whole other.
it's a whole other thing, but again, we are 50% less effective, and we're trying to compensate for that on a daily basis. But the reality is we can only do so many things well. We can do a lot
Sure.
marginally, and that's what we're facing. That's the balance we're trying to strike. I hope that answers your question.
That's very, very helpful. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a good question. I've had the same thought. That was great. Chief,
Yes, ma'am.
I felt like I was listening to my radio program where I follow stories. I love to listen to stories as emulated on a radio. You were really telling the story so well and involved. That was good. My question is about the impact of the storage. You kept talking about excessive storage in places.
Yes, ma'am.
Who inspects the buildings to take care of excessive storage? Because that seemed to be a real issue.
Inspection of occupancies here in the city of Los Angeles is a collective effort. Depending on the size and the square footage or maybe the height of a building, say a high-rise building, may fall under the purview of the Fire Prevention Bureau. A one-story commercial that's maybe a convenience store, because of its size and complexity, may fall under the purview of the local fire station to inspect it. But ultimately, the fire department, its sworn inspectors at the Fire Prevention Bureau, as well as our field personnel, have the collective responsibility of inspecting those buildings. In this particular case where there's excessive storage, I'd have to look to verify who had the responsibility. But again, we're talking about a department that is tasked with many things throughout the day. And we can inspect, but then the question is how thoroughly, how effectively can we do that with the staffing that we have? But we do have the responsibility of doing that. We not only get a sense of those buildings during inspections, but we also do that in what we call pre-fire planning as well. Our local fire companies take a lot of pride in understanding or knowing the buildings that are in their districts, so they train on those actual buildings to know where their stairwells are, to know where exits are, to how to effectively ventilate the building in case there is a fire, as well as finding the most appropriate stairwell to evacuate occupants inside. So we approach understanding the building in different ways. This excessive storage was inside the unit. So while we can inspect the building itself, the common areas, the stairwells. We do not inspect inside a person's residence. That's their private property. And that's where the excessive storage was. So even with our best inspection efforts, that could go beyond it typically goes beyond our purview if it's inside.
So that was more or less fall on the owners of buildings,
That's
I
correct.
guess, to inspect the units.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is a great thing when you have Section 8. They do a good job of that. Okay, that's, now the Roslyn Hotel, whose council district is that?
The Roslyn Hotel is in Council District 14.
Oh, it's in 14?
Yes, ma'am. We are in communication with the council office in looking at collaborative efforts on several fronts. One of the fires that we had last week involved a scooter, an e-bike that was inside. And we know the challenges that presents to our firefighters. So we're working in collaboration through the Central Bureau office with the council office and looking at ways that we can increase fire protection in those buildings, awareness of the residents about the dangers of e-bikes and things like that. So this just kind of falls into what we as a fire department do in increasing our collaboration and communication and relationships with our elected offices.
Is that hotel used for homeless placement?
I don't know for sure, ma'am. I would have to check, but I don't know if it's, right now it's a single resident occupancy, 297 units, likely, but I cannot confirm that.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for your report.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next item on our agenda, is that the only report for the incidents, significant incidents, Chief? The one from Central. Okay, then the next one is the department medical emergencies. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, Commissioners. Welcome, Commissioner Garfield, Chief Everett, Deputy City Attorney Wynn, Neverly, Command Staff, and guests. My name is Tim Werfel. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Emergency Medical Services Bureau, and I'd like to share an incident that occurred on September 14th, 2025 at 2:57 in the morning. The incident occurred in Chief Field's Bureau in downtown Los Angeles at 240 West Venice in Fire Station 10's district. Metropolitan Fire Communications received a 911 call for a traffic collision with one of the vehicles reported to be on fire. Task Force 10 and Rescue Ambulance 10 were dispatched. Upon arrival, LAFD resources encountered a chaotic scene with a large crowd, a vehicle fire that was into a building, and multiple bodies spread across Grand Avenue and 14th Street. Many bystanders were attempting to assist. The under the influence driver of a pickup had run a red light and struck a passenger vehicle with 4 people inside and then hit an additional 2 pedestrians on the sidewalk. And the pickup truck was the vehicle that was on fire. Once an approximate number of victims was determined, the task force commander ordered additional resources to mitigate the emergency. An additional task force, EMS captain, battalion chief, 5 paramedic ambulances, and 2 BLS, which is EMT ambulances, were requested. The incident command system was utilized to build a framework to address the needs of the multi-casualty incident. Medical communications were established to begin getting hospital destinations for all the patients. The vehicle fire was extinguished. The patients were triaged, treated, and prepared for transport. In total, 4 were identified as immediate and 3 were identified as delayed. A total of 7 patients were transported from this incident. This incident highlights the importance of our current deployment model. The versatility of the task force configuration allows us to quickly deploy resources to address complex incidents. The fact that there were assessment paramedics on several of the fire companies aided in providing the highest level and quickest medical care for the patients. From early access 911 and telephonic emergency instructions, from a sworn firefighter/paramedic to the arrival of LAFD resources with state-of-the-art emergency medical skills and equipment. The LAFD is increasing the survivability of these and many other types of emergencies on a routine basis. Thank you. This concludes my report. Are there any questions for me?
Commissioners, you have questions? No? So you had 7 people that had to be transported at one time.
Yes, ma'am.
So that means you had to get 7 ambulances there.
Yes, ma'am. At 3 o'clock in the morning.
And generally, one station has how many?
It depends, but Fire Station 10, for instance, has 1 paramedic and 1 EMT. So
you
they
had
have
to pull
to come
them from all around the area,
Yes, ma'am.
which delayed treatment.
Well, luckily, we had several members from Task Force 10 there
Oh,
immediately.
because of the extra paramedics that helped.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, very good. Oh, that was a busy area, I can see, with 7 ambulances.
Yes.
And all of the other equipment that came along with it. My goodness, wow. Okay, but thank you very much. That's our LAFD. They're well-trained, and when time comes, they fall into action.
Thank you.
We're grateful for that. Okay, very good. Thank you, Chief Waffle. That concludes item 3 on the agenda. The next item is item 4, the consent agenda items. We have 2 items, I believe. Yes, 2 items on the consent agenda. We have a quarterly report providing forecasts and diversity reports for enrollees of the Deferred Retirement Option Plan. I'm not sure who the staff person is for that one. I had some questions about 4A. The drop program.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
me.
Oh, it's okay. It's probably more for the chief, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see. Stay there. I noticed that over the next few years, 5, 6 years, we'll lose a good number of people. I
Right.
mean, we've lost that many people sometimes almost in 2 years in the past. But but my concern was that we lose the number of people. We are already like approximately 300 positions down. With training, what does that say about our training and recruitment programs for the future?
Well, and we're at that fulcrum point right now, so we're going to be potentially opening up applications soon, late winter, early spring. And then to coincide with that, we're bolstering our recruitment efforts. Just had a discussion with because that falls under administrative operations, which happen to be with me, and just had a discussion with how we're going to strategically place our recruiters out, in preparation for the opening of the application period. So we're in the starting blocks to do that, and that clearly coincides with this report and understanding that we're in a position to where we need to start filling voids that were going to be created by retirements.
So do you think that we'll have, we'll be able to hire enough replacements? Because that last, one of those highest numbers is in, what year is that? 30, well, it's after the Olympics, so, will hiring keep up with the retirements?
The goal is always to constantly run classes. Like, for instance, this particular list is we're going to exhaust that, and we're getting to that point right now with the number of people that are left eligible to be hired. And then we'll open up the new process, like I said, and the goal is to fill voids as much as we can. I don't think we'll ever be at a point where we have every single one of our spots filled, just because of how attrition and unforeseen attrition works, early retirements, hence that creates overtime. But I do think that as we move forward with opening up hiring and application period, that we'll be able to put a large dent in it. And so it has like that inverse effect. It'll lower overtime costs at some point. But just the nature of the business, it's hard to maintain every single hole. There's always going to be a little bit.
Okay. Commissioner?
How do the number of the drops compare with what we receive now to the last few years?
So I th-
Obviously, in looking at the report, the
I
number
see my
of
report.
drops are increased by each, in the fourth and the fifth year of this. So could you go through that with us?
Sure. And then is that something you might be able to answer too?
So we are looking into it. So Brittany Medina is the one who usually does the drop enrollees. So she's been looking into the past forecast. She said that the number has been increasing. She hasn't been able to figure out what the trend is right now, but she said that more and more people are entering drop before their retirement age.
I'm sorry, you said, what did you say?
She said more and more people are entering drop. So she's looking into the forecast for the past few years. So we're currently looking for that data. But we don't really have an explanation why yet.
And do we know why there more and more people are entering drop?
No, we
And
don't.
what are we doing to find that out?
I'm not sure what that, I don't have the answer for that yet.
It would be helpful if we had more information about this so we can understand. Obviously, in looking at the list, when you go year by year, there's fewer, and you get at the first year, then they increase and increase up to the last year, which I think was 199. So I think it would be really helpful if we could get more information to really evaluate what we've seen.
In some of the past year's reports, Commissioner, we've had like 200 or 300 people that were leaving. A few years ago, we had around 200 left in 1 year.
It was astronomical. And, you know, a lot of it too is how we run classes. Like, as I just mentioned, we're going to be running a number of classes. So when those people get to the age of retirement, you know, it would appear that everybody's retiring at once, and they are, because they reach that retirement age all around within months at the same time, because we're constantly doing back-to-back classes. I think that's what we saw, I think it was a couple of years ago, and that ultimately created vacancies and promotional opportunities for a lot of our people.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns about this? My concern was just that with us being far behind already, in the next few years, I know we'll have budget issues, but high on the budget issue somewhere has to be recruitment and training, because we can't really run a department without firefighters.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Nick, we're working on the budget as we speak, and we're also have some priorities, and that includes hiring, recruitment, and for that matter, retention. But within those budget requests are some items that directly relate to the recruitment of future firefighters.
Right. Recruitment and retention is really important.
I agree.
Commissioner, do you have a
Yeah,
comment?
I think obviously the recruitment and retention are both important. Could we get a report on what you're doing in terms of the recruitment? What means you're pursuing for the recruitment and retention of firefighters, so we can understand that better? I'm sure that, I'm sure there's a plan, hopefully there's a plan, but I'd like to have
Commissioner
that
Garfield,
information.
I think your mic is not on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jeff, you have to push the button right there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, I didn't know. Great.
I think a report is coming forth from that department already. They're working on it. So if the
Yeah,
commissioner has something to add to it,
Yeah, if it's not, I mean, I understand the instructions. I'll make sure that's included if there's a report coming forward. If not, then we'll create a new one.
Okay, that would be great, thank you.
yeah, I think they're working on that, because that is a concern. Okay, so we have items A and B. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve items A and B consent.
Second?
Second, but may I ask a question before we vote? I'm looking at number 2, which is the Torrance agreement that we have with the city of the Torrance Fire Department, excuse me. How many arrangements or agreements do we have similar to the one we have with Torrance?
I'll let Battalion Chief Roberts come up and fill you in on that.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Commissioners.
Chief.
Chief Everett, how are you? My name is Eric Roberts. I'm assigned to the planning section here in the Office of the Fire Chief, and one of our main roles is to coordinate the interagency effort known as mutual aid and automatic aid. There's 29 fire departments in the County of Los Angeles. We play well with all of them, and this is a continuation of 31 total agreements, to answer your question directly. And that's a mix of automatic aid and mutual aid. Some of the great work that's being done out of our disaster response section by Battalion Chief Adam Kanabi is facilitating these exact agreements. And some of the great benefits that you can tell in the very short term is we've consolidated all agreements into a more consistent pattern. Each document is going to look very similar. We've already done 11 of them. Last calendar year, you saw a total of 7 of them come before the Board of Fire Commissioners, and that great work is continuing at a staggered pace by design. So you're going to see the documents look very similar, and you're also going to see them all have the same term. Some in the past, some of them were 5 years, some of them were annual, some of them were 3 years. They're now all on a rotating schedule to keep up with the changing fire service, and they're now all going to be staggered. So they don't all expire at once, and we'll be able to work on them in a consistent path.
Could you share with us the reasons for doing this and if there are any negative consequences to the Los Angeles Fire Department because of this?
Certainly. I'll take both questions independently. The first question was, why are we doing this? And the big reason is the customers deserve service as promptly and as quickly as possible. And in certain areas of our city outline, for example, in the Torrance Agreement, in the areas of the Harbor Gateway where Fire Station 79 and 85 are, it's very difficult to get the effective firefighting force of 28 people on scene of an incident within 8 minutes. In a given year, you'd have a lot of firefighters sitting around taking city money for no reason. So we cooperate with our partner agencies to get the effective firefighting force and to get initial resources on scene of emergencies as quickly as possible with the fewest possible resources within the city. So it's tax effective, meaning the cost to the customers, and it's also effective for the mission by having the entire response available coming in an interagency manner. And this is what we do all throughout the city with our pockets of the city that have border agencies with not just one jurisdiction, but sometimes these agreements incorporate multiple jurisdictions. So that's the first part of it. And then the second part of your question was, what are the potential downsides? As you flip through the report, you notice that this is by design never intended to cost an additional amount of funds. We can become an agency by hire as we go past a certain hour mark, but this is designed to not make the city any money, and it's designed not to cost the city of Torrance any money.
So could you explain to me then, how does it not cost the city of Los Angeles money, the LAFD, if some of our firefighters are deployed to incidences that occur in the city of Torrance? Is it because it's a reciprocity with the same thing? If in fact that happens for us and we need additional help in that area, do they send their firefighters in to assist us?
That's correct. So there is no cost recovery specific to each salaried position or each resource that is either sent out of our jurisdiction, or if we were rarely to ever call for one of their 6 fire stations to come into our jurisdiction, that would be very rare. But if it were to ever happen, there is no funds exchanged.
Oh, I understand there's no funds exchange, but what I'm trying to understand is, and what my understanding of what I've been listening to today is that our firefighters are overworked, and we need additional assistance within the city of Los Angeles. So I'm trying to understand if we also deploy our firefighters to other cities in the area, then they would not be as available, I assume, to fight fires. Let's say just look at the city of in the areas near the city of Torrance. So has that become a problem at all?
It is not. Everything by design with each agreement that we create is short term. So the authority having jurisdiction is intended to supplement the entirety of the incident. So what we're talking about is these initial stages, the first short bit of an incident, into the initial on scene time of hopefully less than 4 minutes into 8 minutes with the effective firefighting force, and then being relieved by that authority having jurisdiction. So although LA City resources might go into Torrance, in very short order they will be replaced by Torrance Fire Department units.
And we've never had a situation where those same firefighters were needed in another incident near their fire station in the city of Los Angeles?
No, ma'am. By design, when we have a deployment out of the city, we always send an agency rep, and then through our Metro Fire Communications, we provide move-up coverage back into those areas. So, for example, if Fire Station 79 were to send their fire engine out, or if Task Force 85 was to leave their jurisdiction, Metro Fire would cover those districts to ensure that our citizens are covered.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay, any further questions? Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve. Second?
Okay. There's a motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, the motion carries. Now we'll move to the number 5, which is the regular agenda items. Item A, report regarding the Los Angeles Fire Department's budget process for the fiscal year 2026-2027. Good morning.
Good morning. Commissioners, again, welcome. Commissioner Garfield, Chief Everett, Deputy City Attorney Nguyen, Ms. Hill. My name's Emilio Rodriguez. I'm with the Administrative Services Bureau with the Fire Department, here to present a report back requested by the Commission outlining the Fire Department's annual budget process. We usually begin conversations in August of each year to give bureaus time to consider their budgetary needs. At this moment, the budget team has compiled the various requests which are under review by our executive team to identify the highest priority requests, particularly in relation to the mayor's budget policy letter, which was in fact just released yesterday. The budget priorities within the mayor's letter can be summarized as, there's a few bullet points I'll go through, reducing street homelessness, enhancing public safety, providing equitable services citywide, promoting economic opportunity, and bolstering crisis response. Within our budget process, the department reports twice to the Fire Commission, once with a staff report on preliminary budget requests, which we are currently targeting for the October 21st Commission meeting later this month. And again, when the proposed budget has been finalized, tentatively for the November 18th Commission meeting. However, repeating last year's process, the mayor's letter instructs departments to submit a short form list of budget requests by October 14th, which is next week. The mayor's budget team will notify each department of the proposal selected for further consideration. In other words, we've been in the process of identifying all of the department's priorities. Will submit a complete list to the mayor's office, who will then decide what moves forward in a final submission, which is due on November 21st. So again, the proposed budget is due to the mayor's office on the 21st of November. From that point, the mayor releases her proposed budget by the charter deadline of April 20th, and the council adopts the budget with any of their modifications by June 2026 for a July 1st implementation. And the report, again, the report before you contains sort of a broader schedule of all the milestones through that process. So with that, I open for any questions.
I have a question.
Commissioner.
Thank you. What hurdles do you see in this budget process? What are the department's priorities and both in terms of ensuring that the funding that we have currently remains, and then what additional funding are we seeking from the city?
Well, I guess the major hurdle is always budgetary challenges, as has been already stated in this commission. We're looking into another tough budget year. I don't know what that means in terms of revenues and liabilities and escalation of obligatory costs, et cetera. We'll know more as the budget process unfolds, later this year into next year. But again, fire department never has, there is never enough funding to support fire departments, even most basic needs. So we'll prioritize, and, you know, our interim fire chief can chime in on any part of this conversation, but our interim priorities will be focused on restoration of critical frontline positions. I know EIT is in the mix of that, among our various other needs to, restore critical sworn resources in the field, and that includes both engines, ambulances, administrative support. We still have critical needs in the technology area, both in terms of items that were reduced in previous budget and items that were simply never on the pace to keep up with. On the budget, on the administrative, HR and accounting side, we're not fully able to meet the demands. Again, just to keep up with the new workday process and continue on the pace to get all members on board. So we're working on that through this upcoming budget process. And that's just speaking in very broad terms. We'll know more about where the budgetary situation lies over, the ensuing months. I know the mayor's CEO's hosting a budget training tomorrow, which we will actively participate in to get firsthand news on what lies ahead and instructions on how we best prioritize our budgetary needs for that process.
So, I'm sorry. Can I speak?
Go ahead.
Okay. After you get that information, then I assume you'll sit down within the department, and I'm assuming, when you say that information, I'm assuming part of that information is the amount of money that will be allocated to the fire department, and then you sit down and figure out how to parse that out within the multiple needs of the department. Is that correct? I'm just assuming, so please correct me.
Right. So our first priority is to identify what the department needs to just effectively operate as a frontline operation.
Okay.
That dollar amount is likely to exceed what's going to be available through the budget process, given fiscal situation and competing needs across 43 departments and all other obligatory obligations. The dollar amount that kind of aligns with our needs, that's yet to be determined, but it's likely to be well over $100 million. The current list we're reviewing is easily into $200 million. So that's likely what we'll be presenting as our bare minimum budgetary needs through this short form list going to the mayor's office next week. There'll be discussions through that process on what, department, how the department prioritizes that list and what is critically needed, through a process of identifying where. But we don't ultimately determine, what amount we can work with in the end. It's just, we just have to identify the needs and impacts to our constituency, impacts to our sworn workforce, and impacts to our operations. So ultimately, the decision on what is approved in the proposed budget and, what goes into the short form list altogether will be at the mayor's discretion in consultation with the CAO's office.
Okay. So just so I understand, so nobody says to us, oh, you're only going to have this much money. What we do is we put together our budget proposal, which includes what we need, what
That's
the
exactly
department.
correct.
Okay. And,
we never really know.
Okay,
Right.
that makes total sense.
Right.
And then, obviously, ultimately, that's a decision that needs to be made by the mayor. So we basically put together our best case scenario.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And there's a lot of factors that go into consideration on how the city's budgetary pot is split. So.
All right, and the timeline again on that, At what point, and I know you said it and I apologize, I just want to make sure that I understand it. At what point do we submit our proposal, or at least our initial proposal, to the city or the mayor's office?
So according to the mayor's budget policy letter deadline, we have a week to submit our short form list. So it's basically just a Excel type bullet point of
Okay.
nothing in too much detail.
So
It
it's
just
1 week
itemizes.
from now?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So just going over those milestones, we would report to your commission immediately thereafter on, where we are to date, what we're submitting, what it's likely to cost, and any other considerations for your, and any other issues for your consideration. So we're targeting October 21st for that presentation of our preliminary proposed budget.
And can we have a copy of that before the last minute, like at least a week before?
Yes,
'Cause
yes.
usually we get it like, we don't want to get it when we get our regular board reports, because that's not enough time to really look it over.
We'll do our best to finalize the list and get that to you ASAP.
And can we get the nice print that you had the last time?
It's big print?
So we can read it?
Yeah, our requests are so complex, oftentimes we have to go to 10-point, but we'll fix that.
Well, the last one you did was really great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was laid out so beautifully, and we could read it. It was really.
Probably better, more pages, bigger print would be great.
Yeah, you should see the ones that they usually, little tiny, like that last report on the drop program. Boom. Okay.
We'll definitely work on that.
But we know that you all are this is a very difficult year financially for the city. We understand that. And obviously, we want to see the fire department financed to every extent possible and presented, your proposal presented in a way, and I'm sure that's what you do and are great at. And we just want to be sort of part of the process, understanding as you're going through and what the implications are in terms of if in fact there are things that we're requesting and we're getting indications from the mayor's office that's not going to be able to be included. We'd like to know that so we can understand the implications.
Right, absolutely, and that's, of course, the intent of reporting back to the commission multiple times as we do today. For instance, to give you an overview of the process, over the short term to give you an update on our preliminary requests, and again, just before we submit the final proposed budget on what that's looking like in terms of the final resources that the mayor has agreed to include in her budget, along with costs and an update, just as we're officially turning it in. And again, we also report back interimly on the condition of our budget multiple times through mid-year status report to the commission, along with just updates on where we are on the adopted budget after it's been approved by council.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Right.
We know your job is not an easy one. It's never an easy one, but especially this year.
It's not easy, but it's definitely enjoyed doing it with the staff we have.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And we're glad you're back to do it.
We're glad you're enjoying yourself, too.
No, he's very good at this. This is good. Can we also have an update of the mayor's priorities, because they're a little different from the 25, 26, or at least what you just read off that you said you got a few days ago. So could you forward them through Ms. Hill, and Ms. Hill could get them to us as the commissioners?
Yes, of course, we'll send prior years with just, a quick comparison of the latest. I mean, for the most part, they're the same. They're just kind of worded a little differently or kind of different emphasis within each, but we'll make that
But
clear.
if we could get the exact wording that she gave out for this.
Oh, yeah, I
for
just
this-
summarized it to get the
Oh.
gist of what was in the budget letter, but I'll make that clear.
Oh, okay, all right, because some of it didn't seem, I I didn't seem to be reading exactly what you were saying, so that's why I thought it was something
Yeah,
different.
just
You said
reading
you'd
off-
gotten them a few days ago, so I was wondering, because we already had this paper a few days ago,
Right.
so I was just wanting to get the most updated information.
Yeah, and again, just quickly quoting directly off the mayor's letter, it's urgently housing Angelinos, keeping Angelinos safe, make LA shine. which is, again, focused on services. Foster Opportunity, which has a economic development emphasis. And Bolster Crisis Response, which is leaning heavily on emergency preparedness, dispatch, recovery from wildfire situations, et cetera.
And maybe if you just forward that to Ms. Hill and she could get it to us. That would
Will
be
do.
great.
Yep.
So we actually had two categories there, as far as I can tell. All right, thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay.
Motion to approve the report and adopt the recommendations for BFC 25-053.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve BFC 25-053. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries. We're now looking at item 5B, and that's you too, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good.
Again, just to reintroduce myself for the record, Emilio Rodriguez, Administrative Services Bureau. The report before you provides a status on the new Workday payroll systems and its impact on LAFD operations. In June of last year, the city completed its transition to Workday for payroll and the personnel functions. And this was off of a legacy system that had been in operation for a couple of decades at least, the PACER system. While the new system has improved consistency citywide, it has posed challenges to the department due to the complex scheduling and payroll processes for sworn operations and other nuances in how LFD operates. There's been resolution of various identified issues through coordination with the Controller's Office, ITA, Mayor and Council staff, Personnel Department, our pensions departments, and, of course, the vendor, as outlined. So the issues for which we've received a resolution are outlined in the first part of attachment A, the first page there, many of which involved retroactive overtime payments, health and pension contributions, and bonuses. While some of the ongoing issues are resolvable through continuing Workday enhancements, others will require bringing our legacy scheduling systems, and I'm speaking to our sworn in-house system, the network staffing system, up to date to better integrate with Workday. With this in mind, the department is looking into third-party options that could introduce several important enhancements. And just to name a few, streamlining sworn transfers and the resulting pay adjustments from those actions. And a lot of that has to do with getting bonuses aligned to, getting the appropriate bonuses aligned to any movement within fire stations or assignments or platoon special duty, et cetera. Reducing payroll-related errors by reducing or ideally eliminating altogether any manual processing of data between scheduling and payroll functions. Improving compensated time off accruals. We're currently working through issues in sick time and other CTO accruals that aren't quite dropping down to their appropriate buckets, if you will. And enhancing FLSA, Federal Labor Standards Act calculations. There is funding budgeted for this purpose, again, for the NSS upgrade. And LAFD is currently engaged in a discovery process to assess those capabilities. We're looking at about a year, as had been mentioned earlier, for implementation of a system to replace NSS. In the meantime, the department continues working with ITA and our various partners on any other issues that can be corrected through additional Workday enhancements and/or process improvements internally. Just this week, another Workday configuration was finalized that would fully automate overtime retroactive payments going forward, and that's a huge win because it impacts mostly all firefighters. Again, so that concludes that report, and again, open to any comments, questions.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
It says in the report, and you mentioned the $1.5 million. Is that going to be sufficient to accomplish what needs to be done?
That was an estimate at the time the budget request approved based on, a technical assessment of what the broad needs are. And Sam can speak to that. Sam Hinojosa, who's our Chief Information Officer, will share additional guidance on that.
Thanks, Emilio. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
Ms. Garfield, Chief Everett, Deputy City Attorney Nguyen, Ms. Hill, command staff and guests. Sam Hinojosa, Chief Information Officer, Information Technology Bureau. So to your question specifically about the 1.5, is it enough? No. No, it's not. The original.
You were going to say that.
There you go. The original request was approximately 1.8, included the software, the implementation fees, training, also included positions that would help us configure and maintain into the future. Those were not allocated, and we have not earmarked funding for recurring costs in the subsequent years that begin 1 year after production has begun.
So was obviously 1.8 and 1.5, we're talking about 0.3. Would that have been sufficient to do the additional things you talked about, including the allocation of positions?
I believe so. I believe so. The positions were critical. There were 3 positions outlined in there, and there's a little bit of flex in terms of how much the actual salary would be with those positions, but the positions were clear and in the request. And at this point, we'll assume the duties and we'll distribute them with what we have in the Bureau.
Is there anything we can do to try to get that additional amount of money? Because it's, considering all the money that's the fire department, it's not really a huge amount.
Ma'am, we continue to work with our finance department. It is in our upcoming budget for FY, what are we going into, 26, 27, 25, 26?
Okay.
So it is in there. It's really just continuing to make the case and understanding that as we move into the future with these new systems, we do need people to help maintain them, whether they're custom coded or they're integrated. We can't, with a reduced staff, continue to add more burden on them and expect good results.
Right. Okay. So hopefully we'll be able to incorporate that into our next year's budget.
I'm hopeful.
Okay.
It's a line item.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is this helping us to get to where we're paying all of our people?
That is the
back
ultimate
pay
goal.
and all of the pay that's been missing for a number of years.
So the ultimate goal, as the fire administrator mentioned, when we moved to Workday, we started to experience errors that we hadn't had. We had different errors in the past on the other payroll systems. What we experience now is our legacy NSS system does not cleanly integrate with Workday. So what happens is when we send information over there, it throws errors. His department has to manually adjust, and whenever there's manual adjustments in multiple sources of information, there's going to be errors. So they're constantly basically chasing errors and manually adjusting them. The goal in the future is to have the city's system of record for payroll work cleanly with the LA Fire Department's system of record for scheduling in the background. So we automate the functions, the scheduling and the payroll systems work cleanly together, and it reduces the burden on the staff. That's the goal. And that's what we're working towards right now with responsibility matrices and things like that as we move into project phases. So we clearly define who is responsible for what. So we don't get to a point where we implement a system and we have errors and it's really saying, hey, you didn't tell us we were responsible for this, or you said this or that. That will be clearly defined before we proceed with the project.
So we have what we need to move toward payment.
We have the money for the software system that we've targeted. Right now, we are in actual meetings with ITA, with Workday, with our HR departments, with our payroll departments, with ITB, where we're defining, hey, this is what we need out of a scheduling system. We believe that you are likely a choice. Show us, and we have 53 scenarios that we're running them through. Of those 53 scenarios, we're trying to clearly define who is responsible for what. Some of them are just Workday errors, and Workday has to come back and say, yes, we will provide a solution for that, or we cannot. Some are enhancements, some are just basic functions of scheduling. So as we go through that, and we clearly define 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way down the list, then we have a way to button it all up. As we do that, we'll go into the procurement phase, which will likely take 6 to 8 months, and then into the project phase, it's a 9 to 12 month project. So if you extend that out, we could go as far as 24 months before we have a production system. options in there. You could have a vendor that is willing to begin work with a ratification provision. As we go through the procurement process, that could bring in the timeline 6 to 8 months. But that's not a given. That's a risk on their side.
So do we have any idea when people will be paid correctly?
I can speak to the system side. I can't speak to it being a full solution, ma'am. I know we work on it at every pay period in terms of corrections. My goal is to get an accurate system that works well with the system of record online and in place as soon as possible without compromising the product. Because this is a long term. If you look at what we had, NSS is 25 to 30 years old. Pacer prior to that, 25 to 30 years old. We're going to have to live with whatever we implement. And I want to make sure it works for a long time and accurately. I don't want to rush it and say, hey, we got this thing online. We still have errors. People still aren't getting paid correctly. And then we're kind of in the same boat, except we've spent a lot of money trying to get there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My biggest concern is that people get their pay before they leave the department and retire or are no longer existing.
I hear
Seems
you
like
loud
it's
and-
going on forever. It's been, a couple of years, right, already, that we've been dealing with back pay, no pay, missed payments. And I remember working for LAUSD, we received a new payroll system. To this day, some of us don't know whether or not we ever got paid correctly. We're sure the district still has some of our money. But I would not want that to happen to the fire department and the firefighters.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the report and adopt the recommendations for BFC 25-054.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve BFC 25-054. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Thank you. The motion passes. And the next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries. Thank you all very much.